So there's a lot of Rent-A-Girlfriend Season 3 news, and I want to cover all of it, because I like this series. Anywho, I'm Fate, I talk about Rent-A-Girlfriend stuff, and today, again, we're talking about the Season 3 anime stuff, and we're essentially gonna go backwards. The reason for this is because they just announced stuff this morning, and I'm like, I wanna cover that, but then I also wanna go back and cover all the other stuff. So we're gonna cover all the stuff. And there's a lot of interesting things going on with Season 3. Like, Season 3 seems to be a really different season from the prior 2 seasons, despite having fairly similar staff. So let's get into what's all the differences and all this going on. Without further ado, let's mosey. So first off, we have a new key visual for Mini Yamori, the new girl for this season. And this is a really nice image. Most people don't realize we've had a bunch of key visuals up until this point, but they've all actually been references, specifically movie references. Yeah, shocking. The movie arc, the arc where they're making a movie, is getting key visuals that are movie references. But these are really interesting ones, and I bet not many people know them because the team hasn't said blatantly what movies they're referencing, except they're all very intentionally tied together. So interestingly, Minnie's key visual is actually a reference to a film by Audrey Hepburn called My Fair Lady. And this is, for example, an image you can immediately find. You can see that the dress is almost identical to the one Minnie is wearing, and this is because this is a later scene in the movie. However, interestingly enough, My Fair Lady also happens to be the reference to Sumi. So as you can see, this is the key visual for Sumi's character, and if we go to a certain image at a later point, what do you know? It's almost identical. This is because, again, Sumi is also a reference to My Fair Lady. It's just 2 completely different scenes. Minnie's happens to be a scene called The Rain from Spain. And this is fitting because you can see she's holding an umbrella, it's clearly raining, and Minnie is walking out all striding forward, very much fitting her character. Minnie is a character that's gonna surprise a lot of people. A lot of people probably think Minnie is gonna be the next like girl in the harem, but you're gonna be surprised to see what Minnie actually is in this story. And I think for that very reason, a lot of people are really gonna start liking Minnie. To a lot of readers of the manga, Minnie is probably their favorite character. Yeah, a lot of people who watch or interact with this story either love Sumi or Minnie, probably because they're the least morally complex character. Like, they're pretty straightforward. You just like these characters. They're pretty good. And I think in stories, it's often important to introduce characters like that because they can be very fun for the audience and a kind of catharsis for when there is morally questionable things happening within the story. Now, all of the other female casts in this story, all the other girls, have their own references. But let's wait on that a little bit. Again, we said we're backtracking a little bit. I talked about Sumi, but for now, let's actually get into kind of the big thing that's going on right now, which is the fact that they have a new anime preview for the series. Yeah, they have a brand new preview, and this is a character trailer for Mini Yamori. So without further ado, let's watch this shit. So Yu Surizawa is the voice actress for Minnie. She's the Sayu, and holy shit, she's perfect. Like she has the energy, she has the love for this series, she really gets this character. So I think she's a perfect pick for this character, and seriously, go follow her. This is her Twitter, and the characters she's played before might give you a hint as to what kind of character Minnie kind of is within the story. And in that same way, you can kind of feel the somewhat weeb energy coming off of her. It says right here, that's her name, probably that's how you say it in Japanese. No translations, of course. So here she tells you Koroneko, and that's something that's prevalent to her character. Koroneko literally means black cat. As you can tell, she's literally wearing black cat ears. Her name, it's interesting. You guys will see. Oh my god, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop pausing.
Kanojo Okarishimasu 3期2023年7月より放送開始
Okay, so let's go through this really quick. This is the same scene that plays in the first trailer we ever saw for this series. We can go see that later if you guys want, but for now, let's just go look at this. This is the first scene without any music. Now, it's interesting that the song that they play for this is really different. I'm curious if this is Minnie's theme or if the other theme that they played during the original trailer was Minnie's theme. So, okay, we had this entire thing. Like, we're not gonna watch the entire trailer, So yeah, this song,
自分1年の八重森美にって言います。
何の権利があって二人の関係を邪魔されなきゃならねえんだ。
this is kind of more of the song I imagined for Minnie. I'm not gonna lie. Like, that's the song I kind of imagined for Minnie. However, they have done multiple kinds of themes for characters in various ways. So, for example, Chizuru's character actually has 2 themes. She has like a Chizuru Ichinose theme. And she has a kind of Mizuhara theme. The Mizuhara theme more so acts as like this is what the impact of her character does for the characters kind of theme, rather than just, oh, it's just Mizuhara's theme, you know? Because of the way it's utilized, even its name. Heck, that same exact song actually plays here, but it's a remixed version of that song that sounds more movie-like in scale. So just like listen to this.
おばあちゃんに
Yeah, so this is actually a remix of Chizuru's theme.
食べれるもの
And here I can like show you guys an example of like this, the beats and the bloops, kind of. Hopefully it'll make some sense.
やってやる。必ず。
何か作ってあげる。ちょっとちょっと。そん
And that's kind of the whole idea of this, where it's playing like a movie-like version of Chizuru's theme, and then Minnie undercuts the theme. That's why he says pause right there, because you think you're hitting a climax, and the Minnie's like, "Fuck you, bro. Fuck
何
you."
イチャイチャ
Just...
してるなら付き合っちゃえばいいのに。
So as you can see, they still seem to have some of the compositional problems they initially had for Season 2. Season 2, if you go and compare it to Season 1, seems to have some sort of composition issues where the characters appear a little flatter than they are. Like, Minnie here looks a little bit bubbly, but like you'll notice like there's elements of her character that's like out of model, a little bit kind of weird. She feels 2D. She doesn't feel like she has like full-on depth. But at the same time, as you go through the trailer, like you'll see silly shit like this too. But yeah, you'll see how this is kind of flat. Oh my god, her face. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to talk about fucking composition, and I look at Minnie and I see this dumb fucking face. So yeah, but then you go to a scene like this, and this scene has much better composition. Like it's still kind of messy, but it's because it's in the dark that it's being able to highlight things better. And then yes.
レンタル彼女と始まる恋なんて映画みたい
And
師匠と呼ばせていただくっす。
師匠。
So like stuff like this, where like the way they do a shot like this feels like a well-drawn shot. Like this to me feels like a keyframe by like Kana Harayama that got like enough time to it to shine and look as nice as it does. For example, this looks like something I could put for a thumbnail. I don't apologize. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to show you guys the trailer. It looks really good, personally. My personal opinions for Season 3. I think Season 3 is going to be different from the other seasons, not just because of story beats, because everybody knows the movie arc, everybody loves the fucking movie arc, like everybody's going to talk about the fucking movie arc. We all like the movie arc, okay? Let's just get it out of the way. We all like the movie arc, alright? So let's just stop with that, with just like, oh yeah, the movie arc, it's so good, it's so great. Yes, the movie arc is a really good arc, gonna do a lot, alright? I'm really curious, personally, where they plan to stop for Season 3, because there's a lot of reasons to think Season 3 might be longer, might be the same length, but I feel like for Season 3, they kind of should want to kind of adapt everything as it's presented, because Season 3 is the best way I can put it is, a lot of people don't quite realize this, but Reiji, what he does with his writing that's so clever is that essentially whatever is happening in story is the feeling he's trying to evoke from you, and he tailors the entire story structure around it. So because they're making a movie, the movie arc is literally structured around how a movie would be structured. Everything is paced immaculately. All the characters work with a goal, a sense of direction, in tandem. Everything feels like like it's moving for a reason. You know, like that's literally how a good movie functions. A good movie functions around how the pacing is structured, and everything serves a purpose. That's usually the moniker to a lot of people of what good storytelling is. It's like when everything you're shown serves a purpose, when all the pieces move forward, and you never feel like your time is being wasted. This is where a lot of misunderstandings come into stories, where we try to judge stories based on this idea of what we think pacing is, and I think that's the difference between this story and a lot of other ones, where Reiji tailors the story around what he wants to tell. And so when the story starts going in a different direction, maybe the pacing changes where not everything is used to mean something or everything is moving forward, people start to think the story is dragging. This is something that's like complex and would need its own video, because I don't think I can really cover it here, but I think this is one of those stories where it's easy to misunderstand what pacing and structure actually is. But just to give you an idea of how large this scale is for season 3, let me show you like the advertisement they've been doing for the series, because like this shit is actually bonkers. So naturally you have all of the usual advertisements. You would see like the trailers and the people talking about it, and other things that we'll get into in just a sec. But I think one of the craziest ones is the fact that they put up an entire like billboard poster thing in Shibuya Scramble Crossing for Rent a Girlfriend. And it's not just anywhere, it's dead center in Shibuya Scramble Crossing. Editing me here in the future, I don't clarify this because I'm a dumb bitch, but Shibuya Scramble Crossing is literally the biggest crossing area in the world. It's fucking huge, and it's super well known. It's a huge deal that it is in this place because it's such a big place, and it's such a big place for advertisement. So many people cross here, so many people come through this location. Cute note, you can briefly see it in a Valorant commercial for like 2 seconds. And the vertical video I posted earlier is from, I believe, a soccer team in Barcelona. So some of the footage I'm actually sharing with you guys isn't something they filmed specifically for Rent a Girlfriend, but rather just to take pictures of Shibuya Scramble Crossing, and you can see how no matter where you take a look from, you can see it. It's visible. That's how big a poster this is. And they made an entire video on their official channel right here, like on the official Twitter page. They put up an entire video of them putting it up. And everybody can see this. They are hyping this season up like crazy. So these are images by a person on Twitter. This is their moniker. You're welcome to follow them. I just wanted to give them credit. So as you can see, these are really nice pictures on Shibuya Scramble Crossing. And there's some interesting ones here, particularly this. This is being put in the same area as the largest anime in Japan right now, Oshinoko. Let's be real. Oshinoko is like the biggest new anime that nobody will shut the fuck up about. And for good reason. It's a great anime. It's a good fucking anime. I'm a person who is kind of wibbly wobbly on Akasaka. Don't get me wrong. I like Kaguya-sama. Just like anybody else, I like Kaguya-sama. Kaguya-sama is a good show, but I'm also not crazy about it like everybody else, because I do think, yeah, it has flaws, and I think it's been exasperated just a little bit on how crazy it is, but I like Oshinoko. Oshinoko, like, legitimately, I fucking enjoy this show. Like, despite like my gripes with like the same things that Aka has in his writing. And this show is so big in Japan, they're literally playing the opening song everywhere. You know the opening song that has like 100 million views on YouTube? Yeah, that song, they're literally playing it everywhere. And Rent a Girlfriend took an area that's more center stage than Oshinoko, which should talk about how much money they're willing to spend on this season. They're willing to spend that much money on this season to have it up there, which also goes to show you how much funding they have for this anime and how much love there is actually for this series. This is where I want to bring up that budget does not define the quality of a series. There's a lot of amazing mangas, stories, anime, TV shows, even films that have a great amount of budget behind them, but time, management, and staffing is more often than not the thing that actually hampers these kinds of things. A lot of rhetoric online that you'll often hear is that it's bad, I can't believe it's getting a season 3, you'll see content creators like Gigak will be like, I'll always read it, I'll always get people into it, but then he'll call it trash. It's a constant repeating cycle of people just kind of saying it's bad, but then they'll go and watch it anyway. It'll continue to happen to the end of time. It doesn't matter how fucking long the series is. But in that same way, there's actually a lot of people who do actually enjoy this series, and it shows in how much money and budget the anime actually has if they're able to put something like this up. In fact, funny note, in a recent chapter, I'm not really going to spoil the chapter, so don't you worry. In a recent chapter, Reiji somewhat kind of predicted this exact thing. I don't know if he actually knew. He might have actually known. There's a very real chance he could have actually known that they're putting this up. It's his fucking series. Basically, he somewhat predicted this exact thing happening, and he put it in his manga literally like either a few days prior or a week prior. And it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny, I'll be honest. So the next big thing is the artist Helica, who did the ending song for season 1, is coming back for season 2. And she's doing the opening, but she's not doing the opening alone. In fact, she's only performing the opening. Helica reached out to the Peggies, who did the opening song for season 1, the opening song called Centimeter, which has like over 15 million views on YouTube. It's a pretty popular song. Everybody knows the song. Like, it's just the song that kind of like really popped off in 2020. It's one of the reasons the anime is so dearly beloved. It's because that song is really good. And she reached out to the Peggies and had her friend, who is a part of the Peggies, write the opening lyrics for this opening. And unfortunately, Peggies actually retired. Unfortunately, and they did not make the season 2 opening. However, the Peggies are actually huge fans of this series, and that's why opening 1, Centimeter, is actually really good. And so what they did that's actually really cute is that they named the new opening Love Millimeter Film, or Love Milla Film, which is a play on the fact that these two get closer centimeter by centimeter. Because a lot of people don't notice, Rent-A-Girlfriend is actually a deconstruction of harems. And it's kind of weird that nobody fucking seems to pick up on that. It's really weird to me that nobody picks up on the fact that Rent-A-Girlfriend is a deconstruction of harems, because it's a love story between Kazuya and Chizuru, not everybody else. And each character in the cast is in some way, shape, or form a deconstruction of a trope in harems in some way, shape, or form. For example, Ruka's song is literally "She's the me I want to be." Which is a nod at the fact that Ruka is the second girl of the series, and she has all of the things that make her a second girl of the series. She literally has a heart condition that makes her feel inferior to other people, and literally reminds her that she's in second place. Please think about that for a second. And I'm not going to delve into every character, but I kind of wanted to touch on the fact that like the series is very different from how people perceive it, and that's one of the reasons the Peggies really like this series. So I kind of wanted to read some of the things that they wrote. So there's just this like tiny interview. They always do this whenever there's like something. Sometimes it's, you know, just a quick, I like this series, whatever, moving on, you know. Usually they don't matter. These are pretty like fucking pointless sometimes, but sometimes they say stuff that's really interesting. When they asked Helica what she thought of this season and the like her thoughts on the opening, she says, "Dear Kanokari fans, it's been a while and I'm home." It shows how much she fucking loves the series, because again, they actually, an interesting note, like I said, they did the ending song for Rent-A-Girlfriend, but they actually did 2 ending songs. They did the original ending song, and then they did the ending song that's specifically for Ruka. The ending song that like tells you Ruka's backstory. Yeah, they did that too. And they had that entire structured around Ruka. So they really like this series. I'm just kind of trying to nail down how much they like this series. They're talking about it, and she says, "I've been waiting for this moment to come. I'm really happy to be involved in Rent-A-Girlfriend again. I asked Yu Kitazawa of the Peggies, my strongest partner, to write the lyrics and the music." Yu Kitazawa is the one who actually wrote the original lyrics of Centimeter, and I believe she also sang it. So she reached out to this person because she knows she's a huge fucking fan of this series. That's how much Helica cares about this story and wants to nail it. Because a lot of people, for example, heard the opening for season 2, and the opening for season 2 is not bad by any metric. Let's not go and like toss shade at people. It's not a bad opening, but it's not Centimeter. And you know it's not Centimeter because they play Centimeter in the first episode instead of playing the actual opening song. You know how in the first episode of anime they play the opening song, and then that's how the first episode of the season ends, because they introduce the opening song. And they don't always do that, but that's usually kind of what they do. That's not what they did. They played Centimeter instead. They played Centimeter again, which fits, like thematically it fits. But that's what I mean is like Centimeter is a song that perfectly encapsulates the emotions the characters feel for each other. And it's an emotion that a lot of people struggle to understand because of the whole element of money that's prevalent within this series. Because to many of us, money often correlates to this idea of materialistic value. And in this series, it's always been the complete opposite of that. This series essentially goes against the grain in way too many ways, to the point that I think a lot of people just won't understand this, especially if you have a mindset like in the United States, where there's so much weight on being individualistic and the weight of money and all of these things. And you're not going to get somebody who's going to be like, oh, money is important, but at the same time, what I care about is the experiences that I feel. This is a story about experiences. And I think a lot of people just don't get that. Like, seriously, the more you discover about Japan, the more you'll understand that for them, it's more about the experience rather than the materialistic elements that they have in their lives. At least that's kind of how I understand it. You're welcome to correct me. You're welcome to fucking get mad at me in the comments. I don't fucking care, man. I'm just saying, like, I've kind of read about this. I've interacted with people who actually live in Japan. I've watched videos and shit about this and tried to study it and like actually get, you know, a proper view of the situation. And I think this is why I connect to this series a lot, because it's not about the money, it's about the experience and trying to help other people and connect to others. You actually genuinely need an element of empathy to understand this story. But back to this. So because of this love for this series and this complexity in the love, she reached out to Yu Kitazawa, who wrote the opening song for Rent a Girlfriend, and she said, when I wrote various things to organize my feelings, my thoughts overflowed and it became a love letter. I thought that kind of feeling was very Kazuya-like, so I sang like a full-powered Kazuya. This is actually really funny, because when they announced this song, there was, the way they announced it was actually different. They were actually doing a live letter kind of thing, where they were in front of a crowd and it was like a stage thing and they were talking. And basically Sora Amamamiya, the voice actress for Chizuru, and Helika was there on stage and they were talking. And the person who was talking to them literally told either Helika or Sora Amamamiya to praise each other or something, or say something great about the other person, because they do that sometimes. It's just like normal stuff you see in these kinds of Japanese shows. And they were talking, and the way Helika started praising Sora literally reminded me of how Kazuya praises Chizuru. And I'm like, that's so perfect. That's so good. So the fact that she says this here, it's so fucking fitting, because in many ways the movie arc is just basically a big love letter from Kazuya to Chizuru. He's doing this out of his own love for her, nothing more. Like, Kazuya is not getting anything out of this. He's making a movie for a girl, and he is not getting anything out of this. And that really shows you like how kind and loving this person is, despite like how much people love to shit on him. And this is something we can get into at another time, but I'll say it right here. Man, I'm gonna piss off a lot of people, or a lot of people are gonna start like coming after me. Kazuya is my favorite rom-com protagonist of all time, and I have read so many rom-coms and watched so many rom-coms, but I still love Kazuya, like, out of all of them, easily. With that being said, I love the fact that the song is, again, coming back to Kazuya's perspective, because I think all of the songs have been actually mostly Kazuya's perspective for some sort. So Centimeter is mostly Kazuya, but it has elements of Chizuru in it. Then you have Secret Romance, which is actually ironically also from Kazuya's perspective. And then this one is also clearly from Kazuya's perspective. And everybody likes these songs. That's the best part. Everybody loves these songs, and they're like, but we hate Kazuya. I'm like, but it's read from Kazuya's perspective. Anyways, I've ranted on. There's also a few images I kind of wanted to find and show you guys for Helika and the Peggies, because they actually went to see the poster themselves, the poster in Shibuya Scramble Crossing. But yeah, this is them. So this is Yaho Kitazawa and this is Helika right here, and they're both like huge fans of the series, and they went to Shibuya Scramble Crossing to take a picture there. The ending song was actually also announced, so let's talk about that too. Now, we don't have much information on the ending song. This is everything we've got. The ending song is called End Roll, and it's literally a film reel ending, like how a film What end? Yeah, okay. So that's the ending song. It's been decided that I'll be charged with the ending theme for season 3 of the anime, and I'm actually not familiar with this artist. And one thing I do want to mention about Ambers is that they're actually all male, which is interesting. Most of the singing cast for Rent-a-Girlfriend have been female. Helica was female singers, Peggy's female singers, and then Secret Romance, which was by something Clockwork, female singers, and it was the same thing for the ending. The ending was also female singers. So this is actually really different. The fact that it's being sung by a male lead instead of a female lead, that's super different for Rent-a-Girlfriend, and that kind of gets me excited too. Like, it really feels like season 3 really understands the importance of Kazuya's character and the point of his character in this time, because season 3 is not simply about Chizuru's arc, it's actually a lot about Kazuya too, and like his impact on what he does. So that leaves me very, very excited, the fact that it's sung by male singers, and I'm wondering if the ending song will finally be about Kazuya, because a lot of the songs are usually like from other characters' perspectives. Like, sure, the opening songs are from Kazuya's perspective, but again, they're sung by female leads. So I'm just kind of curious what this is going to be like. This is like the first one for the series. So I'm excited. I'm curious what the song is going to be like. I'm curious what they're going to do with that. This will be stuff that's going to be definitely worth exploring as we go on. But there's, of course, even more. Yeah, you think we're fucking stopping there? No, there is so much information. Like, this video is going to be too fucking long. This video is going to be way too long. So I'm going to go here for now because these look so nice. Look at this quality. Look at this quality. This is really good. So as I said, we talked about these a little bit, the references to these, but there's some interesting ones. So as I pointed out, Sumi and Minnie are a reference to My Fair Lady, but Chizuru and Ruka are actually also references to another Audrey Hepburn film. Chizuru in particular is a reference to Roman Holiday, which is a rather old film from the 1950s. But it's a film you might know because it's like one of those very popular films that you know but you probably have not watched. And it's a film about love, romance, and all of these things. It's a very fitting theme for Chizuru's character and everything that's going on. And this is in Italy. These are very famous steps that everybody knows about through this film. The film popularized these steps in Italy. But then you go to Ruka, and she's also a reference to Roman Holiday. Now, at first glance, you might think to yourself, well, what's the reason for that? Like it shouldn't really matter because like these two are both a reference to Roman Holiday. It's also used to express their characters in different ways. However, for Ruka, what's interesting about her is that it not only expresses her outgoing nature, but it also fits thematically because Haruka, again, as I said, wants to be Chizuru. So isn't it fitting that she's literally playing the same role, wearing the same dress, but with different colors and a different sense of expression? Because this is the same dress. The difference is she has short hair, which is interesting because I want to point out how in that film, the main actress actually starts with long hair and then cuts her hair short for the film as it drags on. Yeah, there's a lot of subtlety to these key visuals that fit the characters to a T, and this is why I love Kana Hariyama, because she is the character designer and the person who draws the key visuals and does a lot of key animation. She's an artist that often gets praised to high heaven. Her name on Twitter is Kappa. A lot of people call her that, Kappa or Kape or however you want to pronounce it. I'm not really too sure. And she's an amazing artist, but I think a lot of people try to take credit away from her and her love for this series because she fucking loves Rent-a-Girlfriend. She loves this series, and it's one of the reasons she's so passionate about working on it and trying to express the series the best she can. However, what most people don't realize is Kana Hariyama actually has way too much on her plate with this series, and that's one of the reasons some of the elements of the animations actually somewhat held back. It's because she's carrying too much of this stuff, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes that people just kind of don't realize. That makes it difficult for the anime production. And this is something I've tried to read up on and kind of understand, because anime production is very confusing and a lot of people just simply say, you need budget. It's not simply budget. It's not simply budget, dude. It's not. Because if the fact that they have the series on Shibuya Scramble Crossing is anything to go by, they got fucking budget. It's rather about the people involved and the people working on it and how that all is managed. That's one of the reasons Oshinoko is so well produced. It's because of the management and the people that they have. It's not simply budget. A lot of shows have a lot of budget, doesn't mean they're gonna be good. So the last one we have is this one. I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of this one. Breakfast at Tiffany's. There's no way you haven't heard of Breakfast at Tiffany's. And of course, that's the reference to Mommy's character. It's actually also kind of interesting how Mommy is the only character that doesn't seem to share anything with anyone, unless we get a preview for Kazuya. And then he's Breakfast at Tiffany's too for some reason. But yeah, Breakfast at Tiffany's is the one for Mommy's character. Super fitting considering Mommy and the nature of her life and all of the stuff that's going on. But it's also interesting because they're really promoting Mommy for this season, but slight spoiler, she's not really in it all that much. Like, okay, like you remember this trailer? Where's that one shot of Mommy? Yeah, this shot right here, this is from the end of season 2. This isn't in season 3. This is not in season 3. This is from the end of season 2, which is also a chapter that's after the movie arc. So I'm really curious how involved Mommy is gonna be in this narrative here, because they're really promoting her and she's not really in this season all that much, if at all. So it makes me wonder how long season 3 is gonna be. Are they gonna go like more episodes? And this is, I think, where maybe it's a good time to get into some of the stuff that's gonna be covered here. And it's, where is season 3 going to stop? Now I'm gonna do my best not to spoil anything, but basically the movie arc is roughly 60 or so chapters. It's an arc that's essentially multiple arcs put together. It's more of a saga than anything. And that's really clever on Reiji's part. And that's one of the reasons this arc is so beloved, is because it's doing a lot of things effectively, and it feels like it's constantly moving. And that's actually one of the lines. Remember, every time they do like a key visual, the voice actors oftentimes comment. And I saw the comment from Rei Takahashi, who ironically also plays Ai Hoshino in Oshinoko. And she's also happens to play Sumi. And when they posted the Sumi thing, she actually had something to say, and it was pretty funny. Let me find it really quick. So when they were asking Rei Takahashi how she felt about season 3, she literally responds, "The story moves, will move. Of course, the first and second season were moving, but they are moving. I can only say that it works. It is a point of attention that everyone moves for a purpose." Like I explained, Reiji utilizes the whole idea that it's a film and literally plays into that and how he paces the narrative, making it feel like the characters are working towards a goal, because that's literally how films work. Films are literally structured in a way that feels like you're working towards some sort of goal, some sort of direction. So that's why the movie arc functions as it does. So I just find this quote fucking hilarious, because you can't, like, out of context, you could maybe think she's frustrated, maybe you could think she's just excited. Like, there's so many ways to interpret this. I bet you right now, any anime creator sees this, they're gonna interpret it as the worst thing. They're probably gonna say like, yeah, see, like, even the voice actors like think the story isn't moving, when like many of these voice actors actually really like this series, even though the online opinion is so divisive. And this is interesting too, because I remember seeing a video, someone sent me a video of the voice actresses talking about the series, and Sora Mamma Mia actually went and read ahead in the manga. And when she got to the movie arc, she like broke into fucking tears, because that's how hard the movie arc hits.
私はこう原作を読ませていただいて、後半ボロ泣きしたりだとか、もう胸をこうギューってこう掴まれたりだとか、こんな話だったのみたいなのがすごくねあると思うんですよね。だから胸をこうギュッと掴んでくれる作品でもあるなと思います。
She even says it here. The distance between Kazuya and Chizuru begins to shrink in the third season with the start of the movie production and the appearance of Mini-chan. With that flow, Chizuru's feelings will become more visible, and I think it will be a storyline that can't be seen without tears. So I hope that you will pay attention to the distance between the two and their emotional movement. So one thing I did notice while I'm going through these quotes before I keep going is that Shunhori, Kazuya's voice actor, doesn't have a quote, which leaves me hopeful they might give Kazuya a key visual. Let's go to Aoyuki really quick. Aoyuki, probably my favorite out of the cast, personally speaking. Not because I'm a huge fan of Mommy, but because Aoyuki seems to be really like open-minded about the story in contrast to everyone else. She's the only one who like says things that I'm just like, yeah, that's literally how I feel, bro. And basically what she says is, am I the only one who feels like I'm rooting for the love of real friends beyond the sense of enjoying a story of two-dimensional characters? Fucking thank you. Fucking thank you. That's literally how I feel. Like, I relate to this so much. Also, cute note, for anyone who's seen Across the Spider-Verse, they released it in Japan, and Aoyuki voices Gwen Stacy. Hell yeah. Dude, I fucking love Aoyuki. She's such a great voice actress. Anyways, she says everyone in the third term is also working hard. Only the viewers know the feelings of all the characters. I would be very happy if you could support me as a friend who understands all the characters well. Tearing up, man. Fucking tearing up. Someone gets it. Ah! And then, so let's go to Ruga's voice actress. With the addition of the new character, the Kanokari-like slapstick will accelerate, and I was touched by the appearance of Kazuya and others who acted hard to fulfill a certain wish. Now I feel that everyone is very important. Now you feel everyone's a sus. But no. Again, everyone has different perspectives on the story and how they wish to interpret it. The reason I like Aoyuki's interpretation is because it just meshes with my own, and I feel like she's looking at the story for more of what it's actually trying to say. And sometimes it can feel like Rent a Girlfriend isn't saying much for some people, and I can understand that. But personally, I believe it's a story that's saying a lot. It's a story that's saying a lot, but it's not saying it out loud. It's saying it with its normal voice, and if you don't pay attention, if you hear what you want to hear, you won't understand what it's trying to say. So she says, Kanokari is back again. I'm really happy to be able to watch over Ruka and the others in their daily lives and act like this. What kind of story awaits ahead? Each episode is packed with important words and moments. I'd be happy if you could see it. And finally, Yusuri Izawa, the new girl. Fucking love her. I already love her. For me, after all, Mini-chan appeared. Okay, this is translated weird. We're gonna untranslate this and then translate it properly. What are your impressions of the third season and what are your highlights? For me, it's definitely the appearance of Mini-chan. Mini-chan is a little girl who disturbs the relationship between Kazuya and Chizuru in a good way. And although she seems to be an idiot, she sometimes leaves behind some very touching words of wisdom. She gets her! She gets her! She gets Minnie! Nice to meet you. My name is Yu Sirizawa. Without the support up to this point, Mini-chan would never have had a voice, and I wouldn't be here either. That's literally telling you, like, without the love and support that this series has, it wouldn't be at the point that it is. Interesting note, Season 2 was actually not planned. Season 2 got a confirmation at the end of Season 1. This was plain last minute. Last minute, they announced Season 2, so I can only thank all of you Kanokari fans. I believe this will be the best third season that we can repay you all. Please enjoy. But what's also interesting is, like the event that happened last time where they made these new announcements for Rent a Girlfriend, like the opening song and Helica and Sorama Mia talking about the work and all that stuff, which I'll tell you guys right away, there wasn't much going on during the event. They had some cool announcements, some cute stuff here and there, but for the most part, they showed kind of the same stuff. They showed off Sumi, I believe. They showed off Sumi at that time, the Sumi visual artwork, and they talked about the opening song with Helica, but that was kind of it. Like, they played the same trailer. They didn't play anything new, but this one seems to be interesting, and the reason I say that is because at the end of that last stream that they did, they actually talked about how they're going to like really kick into gear now and actually start showing a lot more stuff and talking about this more and really kick into the advertisement. So this event is essentially a new stream on TV DMM, which is literally what it says on the poster. DMM is basically kind of like one of those anime news outlets, but you can also watch anime on there, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100% sure, I'm just saying that, but they also seem to have other things, like you can read manga, you can interact with all sorts of other things, you can even listen to music. They even seem to have, oh my god, okay, I guess they just kind of have everything, and that's how they advertise Rent a Girlfriend under, because I guess that's how people are going to be watching that. So it seems like on the 23rd of June, just one day after another event that we will also mention here, there will be the streaming event talking about Season 3, and basically they're just going to talk about the charm of the work. It might not be anything big, but I always like to see these events because I want to see the perspective of the other people. Now, naturally, some stuff, they're not going to like tell you the full truth of how they feel, but for the most part, I am curious how they feel, because there is, of course, always truth underneath all of the stuff that they say. And so I am really curious, especially with like people like Sora, who have been very honest about their feelings. Like, Sora at the start of the series didn't like Kazuya, as most people didn't like Kazuya at the start of the series. Personally, for me, I was a little frustrated by Kazuya, but I actually came to like him a lot sooner than most people did, because Kazuya's character is actually really well written. It's just the way a lot of people tend to read stories series, we tend to kind of react first rather than stop and think about what the other person is feeling or thinking. And ironically, that's the difference between us and Chizuru in the story, because she stops and thinks about what he's feeling and understands him, and that's one of the reasons Kazuya loves her. Sora has her own feelings. Like, she was upset at Kazuya, now she likes him. Now she actually like kind of likes Kazuya. She of course still like feels like certain things about Kazuya. Like a lot of people always get upset at Kazuya being horny, but she actually likes Kazuya a lot more now. But she worships the ground Chizuru walks on, which is pretty fucking funny when you think about how much Kazuya loves Chizuru. So I'm like, hey Sora, you a fucking hypocrite. And funny now, I also found out that people call Sora Tenchun because of the kanji in her name, I believe. It's literally the kanji for 10, so people like to call her Tenchun. New information for you guys. Now, there is one last thing, however, it is actually not related to the anime, but kind of like everything, and it's an event by K-Manga. Now, look, let's get it out of the way. K-Manga is a divisive app. It's an app that I think the West is just not gonna like at first glance, because when you have something like Viz Media, where Viz Media is just like, here, you can read our entire catalog for like $1 or $2, it's really not a fair comparison. But then you go and you have something like Manga Up, which is just blatantly bad. You have issues. Issues kind of arise. Now, I will say, as someone who's been somewhat using the K-Manga app, not completely, I read the Rent-A-Girlfriend chapters, and basically I read it through their website. They have a website. I buy the chapter for 99 cents, and then I just read the chapter and share my thoughts and feelings with fans on my videos. You get what I'm talking about. It's like basically a reaction video, then I analyze and all that stuff. It does do some stuff well. For instance, I do think the system they've created is actually kind of gives a shit about you to some degree. They've talked about it a little bit in an interview where they essentially explain the difference between their approach and Viz Media's approach. Viz Media essentially is just trying to promote their work to get more people to read it, but they're not really making profit. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I understand how their fucking system works, but just thinking about it logically, they're giving you all of that work and you're paying like $2-3 a month. They're making nothing. So most of the money just goes to promoting the work, which in turn possibly might get money through some other means, you know, like it's popularizing manga, so it's getting money through other means. However, the approach K-Manga has is more so about rewarding authors. The money you're spending goes to the people who are working on this series. And that's, personally for me, is something I can respect, and that's one of the reasons I'm totally okay with supporting K-Manga, because I want to support content creators like Reiji, but I also want to get quality. And this is where I come into another thing, is that the quality of K-Manga, at least for Rent-A-Girlfriend, up until volume 18, is really good. Volume 18 before, unfortunately, is translated by the people who do the volume releases, which are not good. I don't like the volume releases at all. I have problems, and I have a lot of problems with the volume releases. The localization team for the volume releases fucks up a little too much for me to kind of be okay with it. So the whole point I'm going off of here is that basically K-Manga is having kind of like a launch party stream for their app, which is cool, you know? But they're also talking to and interviewing creators such as Reiji himself. This thing's been probably playing in the background this entire time. But Reiji is going to be there in the launch party. He's actually one of the first people they're going to be interviewing. Now, interesting note, Gigak and one other streamer, I believe, are going to be there as guest hosts. They're not the main hosts. And they're going to be asking questions and talking to these creators. I am interested in this because they're specifically trying to talk to Western audiences, and I think a lot of Western audiences just kind of don't really like pay attention to the story or trying to understand it. So I'd be really curious what Reiji has to say to fans from the West or some of the readers from the West and what they think. And this is kind of where I kind of want to bring up like a thing I don't really like to talk about, but I think it's only necessary. And if you go down to the comments, the people here are not great. So like people are like, oh yeah, this is what I expected Kazuya to look like in IRL. People, please remember, don't roast him during the stream. Like, this guy is nice. Thank you for actually being somewhat respectful. Bro, we're gonna get roast so bad. I feel so bad for him, low-key. Literally the duality of man. The duality of man. And then they're talking about roasting and all that shit. Okay, let's be real. you're sugarcoating it. You're sugarcoating it. When you say, let's roast this dude, let's troll this dude, this is just an excuse to bully people. No. There's a thing when you're joking around with friends, having fun with friends, messing around. You can troll your friends, you can mess with your friends, you can make some dumb fucking jokes with a streamer that you like and shit like that. What the anime community calls roasting and trolling is actually just straight up bullying and harassment. And that's the thing I'm really trying to talk about here is, please don't be assholes. Just seriously, like when chapter 218 of the manga dropped, people harassed Reiji for months to the point that he just said, fuck it, I'm not going to Twitter. He just stopped like reading Twitter or interacting with people or anything. He just said, fuck it, I don't care. Like, you're welcome to feel how you want to feel about a series, about a story. Don't harass other people for your feelings. You don't get an excuse to fucking do that. There are so many people, there are so many artists and creators who do like awful, terrible shit and nobody says anything and they go interact with their art. A very common term you'll often hear is the death of an artist, where it's like the art is not the artist. But then you have people like Reiji who are kind, humble, and loving, and then all people do is try to spin him into the worst thing he could be, make a bunch of conjecture, and come up with all sorts of shit just to make this man look as terrible as you want him to look, when the dude is like one of the kindest artists and creators I've seen in a very long time. Like, people don't talk about the good shit this dude does. When they were doing the live action series for Rent a Girlfriend, for some of you who don't know, there's a live action series and it's actually surprisingly good. I know it's weird for people who are like, wait, a live action series for an anime? That's never good. This one's actually good. And he literally went to them and gave them flowers. He didn't need to. He didn't need to go and thank them and like be kind to them or do anything like that. He went to them, he gave them flowers, he drew pictures and posted stuff on Twitter, constantly promoted the actors that are working on the series and thanked them. Like, the dude is so fucking humble. Like, he doesn't need to do that. He can just be like, I don't care, and just move on. Be like, thank you for the staff who made it, blah, blah, blah. But no, he's actually just a genuinely kind and loving dude, and people often try to spin things the worst thing can be. It's like, oh my god, the dude is married, but he's simping for the girl that he wrote. It's like, okay, so? Y'all have waifu culture. What the fuck gives you the right to talk? Y'all out here literally simping for JPEGs and PNGs, and then you get upset at this man for drawing a character he really enjoys and he wants to express his love for them. Like, fuck out of here. You're like, literally, the internet's just a bunch of fucking hypocrites, dude. Anyways, I'm ranting a little bit. All I'm trying to say is, this event is coming up. I will be covering it as well, whatever information is going to be on there, and I'm going to talk about it and just kind of get into it. Please be respectful. If you do watch this, don't be an asshole. Just don't. It's so easy. Just don't be an asshole. Like, I get it. Assholeness makes you look cool and you're promoted and people like you because people agree with the fact that you're an asshole and they agree about the thing that you're being an asshole about and blah, blah, blah. Just don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. Just be nice. But I do also want to point out that this is not a majority. This is a minority. This is only some people. This isn't everybody. Not everybody's an asshole. These are just the loud minority of the anime and manga community. Remember when Attack on Titan ended and it was so freaking divisive and people were just so unbelievably mean to Isayama? And then he came to the US and he was genuinely afraid. He was actually scared. And then people treated him nicely. Like, that really says a lot about our online culture. And I just don't think it's okay that we can do this to a series just because we don't like it. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at here. So please, if you don't like this series, that is fine. Just don't be an asshole. Just say you don't like it and move on with your life. But people make it into the worst thing it can be. So I guess the last things we really want to cover is the staff, the people who are going to be working on season 3. And this is interesting because most people don't realize that we actually have a new director now. We have a new director. Now, the way directors work in anime is different from the way directors work in like movies and TV shows. I don't think people quite understand that. And this is something that's still a little bit difficult for me to completely grasp myself. I'm still fairly new to understanding how this industry works. I've been trying to research it a little bit. It's complicated. So what's interesting about this one is that for the most part, people are somewhat similar, but the new director is Shinya Un. We don't quite know what to go off of with this director, but he has directed some episodes. For instance, he's the episode director of episode 6. And honestly speaking, this is an episode that kind of makes me wobble a little bit. And the reason for this is, so again, I pointed out that I like the anime, but I have some issues with it, and my issues particularly stem from the character depictions. In many ways, Rent-A-Girlfriend is a character piece. Again, people don't quite understand that because of how Rent-A-Girlfriend is presented. It looks like a lot of like those really dumb harem shows, and the music makes you feel that dumb harem energy, and the way things are voice acted makes you feel that dumb harem energy. So when you interact with it, it can really feel stupid or cringy at times, even though I think cringe is not really as bad thing. But anyways, what tends to happen is that a lot of times the characters kind of get mischaracterized and you can't even tell. And it's very much the case with Kazuya's character. And the reason I'm talking specifically about episode 6 is because episode 6 to me personally is a really important episode to Kazuya's character. And while I don't feel like they fumbled the ball, I also don't feel like they really nailed his character, and they trimmed scenes that were important to expressing aspects of his kindness and empathy that is just not in the anime, and it's not depicted the same, and his lines are even trimmed. So with that being said, it leaves me a little bit worried. Now, this director also storyboarded and directed episode 17, and that episode is good, which is weird. It's so weird. Episode 17 is the episode where Kazuya goes on a date with Sumi to try and figure out what to get Chizuru as a gift for her birthday, but it's also an episode that really expresses Kazuya's character and his connection with Sumi, and I actually felt like he did a really good job with that, and I think a part of it might be because he storyboarded it. I think a part of it might be because he actually storyboarded it. In contrast, he also directed episode 22, which I didn't like. Episode 22 kind of frustrated me because it had a lot of bad music choices. It had a lot of bad presentation for Kazuya's character and like the things that are happening at that time.
ちょっとどこに決まってるだろ言うんだよ水原のばあちゃんに俺たちの関係が嘘だって
The anime has had weird production issues, and if you notice, a lot of Kana Hariyama's art that she posts for the series, whether it be the visuals, whether it be like just the art she shares on her like account on Twitter, just does not match with the anime. It looks like a superior version of the anime. I'm a person who kind of doesn't want to talk shit about someone else's work. I don't fucking like doing that. I fucking hate roast videos. I hate those shit. There's a very real reason why I'm very like picky with the anime creators that I follow, specifically because like anime content creators are kind of assholes. They're kind of assholes, let's be real, and they don't really understand the industry all that well. They don't fucking, half the time they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and like hell, I barely know what I'm talking about. And now it's left me a little bit worried but a little bit hopeful. I've noticed recently, especially with season 2, they've started to somewhat understand Kazuya's character better, not just because we're getting into the part of the story where they're depicting Kazuya like in a more brighter light, or we're seeing different sides of Kazuya, but because like the animators and the way they're depicting Kazuya just feels more accurate to his character. But there are issues. There are issues still, like with certain scenes and certain moments where I feel like they completely miss the point of scenes and what the scenes are trying to say. And there's a lot of examples of this, but regardless, I still think the anime is good. But I think a proper exploration of the differences between the anime and the manga will be a video I'll probably end up making, and maybe exploring that through the trailers. I think that's one thing I'll probably do, is I'll do a video exploring the differences between the trailers and the anime and why they matter, but why maybe the anime isn't inherently bad, you know? With all that being said, the anime will be airing on July 7th of 2023, so it's pretty close. We got a little bit less than a month at this point, so yeah, that's kind of roughly everything. Let me know if you enjoy the series in the comments. Please don't be an asshole. We don't need that. If you don't like this series, that's perfectly fine. Just say you don't like the series, let it go. It's perfectly fine. But don't be an asshole. There are people who enjoy this series, and that's perfectly fine. It's okay to enjoy things in this world because nothing makes sense in our lives these days. Be kind to other people. This was kind of the video. I hope I kind of shared all of the information, all of the cool tidbits and references, and all of the crazy shit that's happening in the anime and all the stuff that's coming up. And I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe, hit the like button, and the bell icon to keep up with the uploads. As for the people who are keeping up with me for the manga, I know I'm late on stuff, I have some good surprises for you guys coming up in terms of the manga, but I am going to be a little bit busy this weekend, so I will do my best to upload everything that I can, and we will talk about this stuff. We will share all of the cool tidbits and information. With that being said, I've been Fate, and remember, let's mosey.